I'm Sahar Hamdard with the Department of Planning and Development. I'm joined tonight by Graham Owen from Department of Planning and Development, along with the staff from Fairfax County, Department of Transportation, Ashley Dinner, as well as the nominator, that we will introduce them due to time. We are really glad to be joined by Supervisor Pat Hirty and Commissioner James Thomas. Commissioner James Thomas will be making an opening remarks, and we will turn it over to you, Commissioner Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say hi to everyone. I appreciate putting this together and the staff's work on this. Supervisor Harity, thank you for joining and being here. Again, my name is James Thomas, the Springfield District Planning Commissioner. Supervisor Harity had appointed me earlier this year to this position, so I just look forward to working with many of you on this. And thanks so much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas.
And real quick, if I could, I just want to say thank you to everybody that's here. This is your time to learn more about the project, ask questions, get some answers. This will be first of several opportunities. We have another opportunity, I think, with the Springfield Land Use Committee on the 7th of October. And then, of course, it'll go on to Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors after that. So plenty of opportunity to weigh in, but we got a lot of people here and look forward to hearing your comments. That's all I got.
Thank you, Supervisor Hirty, for your remarks. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope everyone can see it. The agenda for today's meeting is to discuss the two site-specific plan amendments, Fairfax Business Park and Fairfax Ridge Road. We will go over information regarding the comprehensive planning in Fairfax County and the staff priorities for plan amendments. At the end of the presentation, we will have time to discuss the questions, comments, and concerns, and we want to hear from you. On April 11, 2023, the Board of Supervisors authorized the consideration of Fairfax Business Park and Fairfax Ridge Road plan amendment, both of which are located within Land Unit K of the Fairfax Center area in the Springfield Supervisor District. The Board of Supervisors requested that staff consider and evaluate the Fairfax Business Park plan amendment for residential mixed use up to 1.2 FAR and 5 to 6-story buildings, consisting of 750 to 900 residential units and 60,000 to 120,000 square feet of office use, ancillary retail use, and potential continuing care or assisted living uses. Also, the Board of Supervisors authorized Fairfax Ridge Road plan amendment to consider an option for residential mixed use on the site for up to 400 multifamily dwelling units at 1.5 FAR and 70 feet in height, as well as 2,500 square feet of ground floor retail. Both plan amendments are concurrently under review with rezoning application. During the review process of these amendments, the main comments that were raised in agency's comments were the need of major sewer enhancements, interparcel connectivity, and urban parks to serve future residents, all of which have led to an agreement amongst the staff and the supervisor's office that a broader area planning study is needed. On June 25, 2024, the Board of Supervisors authorized a planning study for the entirety of Fairfax Center area Land Unit K to allow for a comprehensive planning analysis for the broader area, while also allowing the two SSPAs to proceed as individual proposal with consideration of commitments from the SSPA nominator to enhance the sewer capacity in the area to meet the need of future redevelopment potential for the area served by pump stations. As a result, the two sites, Fairfax Business Park and Fairfax Ridge Road plan amendments, are proceeding as individual plan amendments as part of phase 1 study, which includes this community meeting, and the PC is scheduled on October 16, and the board is scheduled for both plan amendments on November 18. The phase 2 study includes Land Unit K planning study, and a comprehensive land use, transportations, and park analysis is in review, and it's expected to be scheduled for community meeting and public hearing in fall or winter 2026, when transportation study is finalized. Both sites, Fairfax Business Park and Fairfax Ridge Road, are located within the Fairfax Center Area Land Unit K, which is north of Route 50, south of Interstate I-66, and east of the city of Fairfax. Land Unit K is developed with office uses, light industrial, hotel uses, and residential uses. The 22.64 acres Fairfax Business Park site is located southeast of the intersection of Wapples Mill Road and Pender Drive, which is currently developed with one-story office buildings totaling 331,000 square feet with associated surface parking. Approximately 1.75 acres of the site is developed with Innova Care Center, which provides behavioral health services for children. The site is surrounded by office and institutional buildings to the north and west across the Pender Drive, a hotel with restaurants, office buildings, and grocery stores to the south, and multifamily and townhouses, residential uses, and commercial uses to the east and city of Fairfax. The 6.2 acres Fairfax Ridge Road site is located southwest of the intersection of Fairfax Ridge Road and Wapples Mill Road, and currently developed with an office building totaling 219,000 square feet with an associated parking structure. The site is surrounded by multifamily residential uses, including the 420-unit Fairfax Ridge condominium community to the north and west, and the 150-unit Radiant at Fairfax Ridge rental community to the south. Office and institutional uses are located to the east across Wapples Mill Road. The adopted plan for Land Unit K of the Fairfax Center area recommends office use at 0.25 FAR at the baseline and 0.5 FAR at the overlay level. Areas west of Wapples Mill Road, the plan also recommends site-specific options for residential use at 16 to 20 dwelling units per acre. The model apartment building off Aristotle Drive has been implemented with 16 to 20 dwelling units per acre, and the Fairfax Ridge community has been implemented at 20 to 25 dwelling units per acre. Additionally, the comprehensive plan's vision for the Fairfax Center area includes guiding planning principles, which provides opportunities for infill development to support the creation of additional activity nodes that include residential, retail, office, hotel, and/or civic uses. Now, what's comprehensive plan? The comprehensive plan is the county's primary policy document to guide the use of the county's land and natural resources over the next 20 years. It is a guide for decision-making that reflects the community's long-term land use vision for the future. The purpose of the comprehensive plan is to manage the growth and development. It's important to note that the plan provides recommendation and is not law, like the zoning ordinance. The recommendation in the comprehensive plan are used by Board of Supervisors, Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, county staff, and the community as the common basis for decision-making on land use applications. The comprehensive plan is a living document, and changes to it are called plan amendment. The concept for future development map is used to explain how all areas of the county are planned. This map provides a general guide and framework for identifying the various types of development that are either existing or encouraged to grow and develop throughout the county over the long term. Using color coding from the map's legend, we see that the land unit K, which is pointed on the map, is identified as suburban center. The comprehensive plan defines suburban center as employment centers located along major roads. To provide a sense of where this project is in terms of development process, this diagram illustrates the life cycle nature of land development in the county. First, starting with the concept phase, that will cite a specific plan amendment or SSP nomination. Both plan amendments are in the planning stage, and both applicants submitted a rezoning application, which are concurrently under review. Density and intensity are two most common terms that use in land use planning to describe the quantity and scale of development that can be established either on a single site or within a defined area. Floor area ratio, or FAR, is the term most used to describe the intensity of non-residential use and mixed-use development, which often combines both residential uses and non-residential uses. To calculate FAR, you divide the floor area of building space by the land area in a development site. Also, residential density is a calculation of the number of dwelling units that can be developed for each acres within a site. Suburban townhouse development with anywhere between 5 and 12 dwelling units per acre are often considered to be somewhere near the middle of the county's density range. Multifamily housing, such as apartments and condominiums, are built at higher densities that can tick on various forms, such as garden-style apartment with 16 to 20 dwelling units per acre, or mid-rise residential with as many as 30 to 40 or more dwelling units per acre, and high-rise urban residential development of 60 to 80 dwelling units per acre. The next section will cover the proposals. The Fairfax Business Park proposal consider an option for residential mixed use on the site to include a mix of multifamily and stacked townhomes, office and retail uses. In total, the proposal is for 706 residential units, 77,000 square feet of medical office, and 20,000 square feet of retail uses, with a total intensity of 1.03 FAR. Now, Michael Greek, the representative of the applicant, will provide more detailed information regarding this plan amendment. Please.
Thank you, Sahar. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for giving me the opportunity to be here today to present our project. If you could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. As you mentioned, this 22-acre property, as it's currently known as Fairfax Business Park, we're now calling it Fairfax Crossing. It's currently a mix of 1 to 2-story office buildings built in the 1980s. These buildings have reached their useful life. They're mostly vacant, with low occupancy, and not a lot of market interest. And what you see here today in its current condition is a sea of asphalt and concrete. We want to bring into the site lots of green space, walkability, and a vibrant residential community. In the outline in orange is the Innova parcel that you mentioned, Sahar. Innova is our partner in the development. They're seeking enhancements to their open space and recreational uses, as well as other various improvements to their facilities, but they are keeping their existing building in place. Currently, they operate their Keller School, which provides behavioral health services for children and adolescents, from mental health and substance abuse disorders, treatment programs, as well as special education support for families. So this is obviously a very vital service, frankly, an underserved service in the area. And as their partner, we're providing them with an opportunity to improve their facility. If you could go to the next slide, please. And I may need your help, Sahar, pointing to a few of these things here. Let me just orient you with the page here, since we've changed perspectives on you. The bottom of the page is the line between the city of Fairfax and Fairfax County. To the north, you have Waples Mill Road and the Pender Drive intersection. We're looking to bring in a diversity of housing options into the county. As everyone knows, Fairfax has a mission and a mandate to add additional housing units for people at varying income levels. This development will create a mix of residential offerings, reinvigorating this area of the county. So with that being said, the first building would be the multifamily building, which consists of 280 multifamily units. Then just directly south, the L-shaped building in blue would be our 140 affordable unit building. And immediately adjacent to that is the Innova parcel in the gray roof that's existing to remain. The remainder of the site is 286 stacked townhouse units. And for those of you that attended our last community meeting, you will see the site layout, both from a street grid and a building orientation, has changed. We've worked over the last several months with county staff extensively on the site orientation and layout, as I just mentioned. And I'll just start with, you can see the green space just jumps off the page. We've got over 5.5 acres of open space, community open space. That really, you can see the connectivity between the open space along Pender and Waples Mill Road and how it feeds through the site and creates a really great walkable experience. We've also reoriented I'll start with the multifamily building. We've reoriented that building. In the initial design, we had the garage flip towards our main street, internal to the site with an exposed garage. Today, we've rotated that garage, removed the loading from our main street, and we've also wrapped our building architecture around the garage so it will no longer be visible from the outside. As well as if you pan down to our Light Tech building, originally we've changed the shape of this building to create a better separation between Innova and our Light Tech building, as it used to have kind of a J-shaped design. Also, if you look at the street grid itself, we've modified the street grid as we had some 2/2s backing up against the park areas. We've since eliminated that, which allows, like I mentioned previously, the connectivity of these parks. You're really getting a sense of community gathering space and community space here between the parks coming from Waples Mill Road and through the development. We've also aligned the curb cuts along Pender Drive. That creates the opportunity for future land development as the land development develops. As well as that, what you'll see on Pender Drive is on the 2/2s, we've reoriented the layout of those units to front Pender Drive to create that residential streetscape. We've also eliminated any dead ends within the alleys of the 2/2s, and everything is facing the park in that regard. One thing I'll also mention, we've completed our traffic studies, and with this change of use, we actually reduced the number of trips, weekday trips at peak hours. And finally, along with the street grid, we also have coordinated and provided interjurisdictional connection points for the city of Fairfax if and when that ever were to occur. You could go to the next slide, please. So here, this is to reorient yourself again. This is a bird's eye view or aerial of the site. As you can see here, I think what this does is show a great depiction of our massing. And you really have a dramatic setback along Waples Mill Road and Pender, at the intersection of Waples Mill and Pender Drive. And again, as I mentioned before, you can see the expansive amount of green space and how that really flows throughout the site. And you can also see towards the further down Pender Drive, we have a pocket park as well, creating that additional green space. We've also, back one more, I just want to mention one other thing. Thank you. We've also used the subtle grade changes across the site to avoid any retaining walls and segmenting that the site may have created, so that we can provide a cohesive development for people to truly mix and not be segmented. I can go to the next slide, please. And here, this is a very preliminary rendering, a great rendering showing a perspective. This is looking through from the stack flats, looking back. You can see our multifamily building in the foreground here. And what this really shows is just the amount of open space that were created here. And we're still working on the programming here, but it really gives you a vision or an imagery of all of this great gathering space and open space and the expansiveness of these linear open spaces. You can really start to appreciate the vision for the site. And with that, we really look forward to advancing the entitlement process, beginning with this comprehensive plan amendment. We believe this project will serve as a catalyst for revitalizing this part of the county, bringing new energy and expanded housing opportunities. And we look forward to answering any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. So I will go to the next proposal. The next is the Fairfax Ridge Road proposal, which proposes a motorized residential mixed use on the site for up to 400 multifamily units at 1.5 to FAR and 70 feet in height, with 5,500 square feet of ground floor retail and a linear park around the building. Lynn Strobel, the representative of the applicant, will provide more detailed information regarding this plan amendment.
Thank you, Dahar. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Lynn Strobel. You all may have seen me before at some of these meetings. I'm with the law firm of Walsh Colucci, and I'm here tonight with Zach Fountain, who is also with our firm. He's a planner, and also our client, the owner's representative, Rob Singer, has joined us as well. So if there are questions that I can't answer, hopefully they'll be able to. So if we go to the first slide, please. So this is just an aerial view of the property. You can see that the property we're discussing has a dashed line around it. It's about 6.1 acres. And I'll try not to be repetitive, but I do think it's important to have a little bit of knowledge of the history of this property that is located on the west side of Waples Mill Road. All of this property was originally rezoned to the C3 district. It was originally envisioned to be an office park. And so that evolved over the years. And the first thing that happened is that the properties that you see that are on the west side of Fairfax Ridge Road or Fairfax Ridge Condominium, those were rezoned and constructed. And then several years after that, the multifamily building that you see south of our property on the east side of Fairfax Ridge Road, that single multifamily building that's next to ours was also rezoned and developed with residential. So what we're really seeing tonight that we're working on is a completion of the development pattern that began a number of years ago. This is almost like the hole in the donut. We started looking, and if we go to the next slide, while looking at that office building that's there, this is what's left of that original vision of an office park, and it was built in 1982, and it is served by an above-grade parking garage. And unfortunately, in today's market, as I'm sure everyone's aware, office is not in demand. This office building is mostly empty at this point. This was taken a while ago. You see those cars in front. That's not the way it looks today. And so the owners of the property really felt that something better could be on this site, something that would be more compatible with the residential that has been constructed over the years. So if we go to the next slide, and this just gives a view from Waples Mill Road. So what the owner did was to file, as was discussed here a little earlier, they filed a site-specific plan amendment, or an SSPA, to replace that office building with residential. And fortunately, that was supported by the staff and others. And so the board did adopt that plan amendment into the work program. So since that time, we've been working on how this would best fit in with the community and really change the character of what is there today. If we go to the next slide. So we started working on a concept plan, and I'm not going to read all the things that are on this plan, but we put together a concept that has evolved really into this development proposal. And the result is what you're seeing around the perimeter of this property is about an acre of open space. So spent a lot of time working on a open space area that would have both passive and active recreational elements. This perimeter park can be something that's open to the community as well as our residents. In the courtyards that you see in the middle, that would be the private open space for the people who live in this building. But that perimeter park is intended to be a dynamic, interesting, and usable park space for everyone. As one of the things that we incorporated into this design is some retail, and that was really at the suggestion of staff. You can see two retail areas at the corner of Waples Mill Road and Fairfax Ridge Road. There's a little retail area there with some outdoor seating. And then we have another retail area that is on Fairfax Ridge Road coming into the entry of the property. We envision both of those to be community serving retail. Ideally, we might have a coffee shop there, a sandwich shop, something that would be a gathering area and really, again, be something available to the people in the community, as well as the individuals who would be living in this building. Some of the benefits of this proposal, in addition to the open space, I think is the fact that we have removed a number of curb cuts from Fairfax Ridge Road. Now we have one access point that you see on Fairfax Ridge Road, kind of at the bottom of your screen is our access. You would come in here, there is a drop-off area at our entry, and then also you can go into the parking garage that would be provided for the community. There's also another access to Waples Mill Road that would be available to access the road at that location. We really did work on a number of these design elements to make sure that it works for the property, will be an attractive community, and also be a benefit to the area. The shape of the property, as you can see, is a little difficult. There is topography, but working with that, I think that we developed a very, very good plan. I would just note that we think it certainly has a better aesthetic than what is there today. We've been able to improve the road network. We've been able to retain on-street parking, and that park width is about 30 feet. When you add the sidewalk and the buffer, it's about 50 feet. So it is a significant area that we've incorporated into our proposal. And if we go to the next slide, we also had a lot of conversations with the staff about connectivity. We wanted to make sure that there's connectivity through our site, both pedestrian and vehicular. And if we go to the next slide, this translates into kind of a broader vision for the area, again, connecting to, trails and sidewalks that are already in the area. And if we go to the next slide, one of the benefits of this proposal will be a positive impact on traffic. I know that the existing office is not, fully occupied today, but this is a comparison of what could be on the site and what is proposed with the residential development. And you can see that there is a reduction in the peak hour trip generation during the weekday and also in daily trip generation. The only time you see an increase is on Saturday, which certainly makes a lot of sense because that's when people will be running errands and doing, things over the weekend. But that having been said, that's during non-peak travel hours. So we really do believe that the overall, that there will be an overall benefit to the trip generation. If we go to the next slide, we've just got a few visuals of what we've put together to help illustrate what this will look like. Spent a lot of time on architectural design. This is a view from that corner of Waples Mill and Fairfax Ridge Road. You can see our retail at the corner with seating, kind of a little plaza area there. We incorporated a number of different high-quality building materials, also provided balconies as well as insets and varied the massing of the building so that it doesn't appear perhaps as large as it is. We've also worked with the topography. As you can see, the site is sloping down from Waples Mill. And while that presented some challenges, I think that we've dealt with that through building architecture. If we go to the next slide, this would be across from the existing Fairfax Ridge condominiums. This is Fairfax Ridge Road. And what you're looking at, what you'll be able to see is that when Fairfax Ridge was developed, they did plant street trees along Fairfax Ridge Road. So now that would be mirrored in the park that we're providing along the road. And that's within a significant setback. As I mentioned, it's about 50 feet from the road to the building. And again, a lot of balconies, bump outs, and a lot of architectural methods used to decrease the massing of the building. We go to the next slide. And I think this may be the last one. This is our other retail opportunity here at the corner. again, kind of envision that to be some type of perhaps coffee shop, outdoor seating, plaza area. And that's where you would enter the property, and you can see the garage in the background. But that is set, I'm sorry, there's one more that's set very far back and would direct people into the garage. And from there, they could get directly into the building to access their units. So with that, we're very pleased to be here tonight. We appreciate the opportunity. This has been a very long road for us, but we're very happy that it is coming down to public hearings that will be held this fall. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Lynn. So as a summary, if you look at the red box in the quantification table, we can see the total proposed development for both plan amendments, which reflects a gross total of 777,000 square foot of office use, 25,500 square foot of retail use, and 1,106 residential units. The net change compared to the adopted plan includes a reduction of 635,000 square feet of office use and introduction of residential units and retail uses. Now we will go over the staff evaluation for the plan amendments. Staff evaluated both plan amendments with consideration of potential impacts focusing on land use, public facilities, such as sewer capacity, transportation, schools, environment, and parks. After staff consideration, the major issues identified include sewer enhancement, transportation improvements, open space, and urban parks that we'll go over more in depth in the next few slides. Both plan amendments are served by the Pender and High Ridge sanitary sewer pump stations. Currently, sanitary sewers and pump stations have adequate capacity to serve the existing uses. However, existing pump stations and multiple sanitary sewers serving the area do not have capacity for the proposed plan amendments potential density. A sanitary sewer feasibility study was done by both applicants. Capacity upgrades are necessary for both pump station and associated sanitary sewers pipeline to support the site-specific proposals and densities proposed as part of land use scenario for the phase 2 study. In August 2025, draft proposals from each nominator was provided that committed to upgrading the sewer pump stations to allow for full build-out, envisioned with the broader land unit K study. Now, Ashley Dinner from Department of Transportation can give us information regarding the trip generation and transportation at the area.
Thanks so much, Sahar, and good evening to everyone. Like Sahar just mentioned, I will now talk about the transportation impact that our team assessed for both proposals. So on your screen, we see the trip generation tables. The first one is for Fair Oaks Business Park, which is on the left-hand side of your screen. If you look to the bottom of that table, you see highlighted in yellow what we have titled Delta Proposed versus Current. Basically, this just means that we took the total weekday daily trips of the total from the proposal and we subtracted that from the current plan. From that, we found that approximately 3,705 trips increased daily, as well as an increase in the PM totals and an overall decrease in the AM totals. From this, our staff was able to assume that this is due to the decrease in office use and increase in residential use in the new proposal when we compared it to the current plan. From this, our significant takeaways is that this proposal would not generate more trips than what the current plan already does allow. For the second one, we have Fairfax Ridge Road. From this, we did the same exact thing. We took the delta proposed from the proposal total number and we subtracted that from the current plan. From this, we see that there's an increase of 654 daily trips with an overall decrease in both the AM and PM trips. From this, our significant takeaway, as well as from Fair Oaks Business Park, is that this proposal would not generate more trips than what the current plan already allows. Next slide. So here we have our transportation plan map. I'm first going to go over the recommendations you see on your screen and then briefly talk about some additional improvements our team will review and assess for this community. So first, we see the widening of Route 50 to 8 lanes. So that would be in the dark blue on Route 50 with the 8 number in the middle of the line. Currently, this is already functioning as an 8-lane road or roads today along Route 50. And then same thing there is a recommendation for the widening of Waples Mill Road to 4 lanes north of Route 50, which also currently already functions as 4 lanes. And then lastly, at this land unit K site, there also is the plan to recommend a grade separated interchange at the intersection of Route 50 and Waples Mill Road. That you'll see is the black circle on your screen at that intersection. This would be a full interchange improvement that would require a further transportation study for that one. If we just stay on the screen for a second, I want to highlight a few improvements that our team will review and assess for this community for both proposals, but also for the overall land unit K site. The first one would be for improvements to the intersections of Waples Mill Road and Pender Drive, as well as Waples Mill Road and Fairfax Ridge Road. These improvements would include enhancements such as to the pedestrian bicyclist facilities, including high visibility crosswalks and signals, as well as assessments for roundabouts at both intersections. Secondly, there also is the connection to Germantown Road. There has been discussions with the city of Fairfax on the potential for an interjurisdictional connection in order to help improve circulation and access to, from, and within the land unit. I do want to note, though, that these intersection improvements that I just mentioned would not generally be highlighted in the comprehensive plan, but the interjurisdictional connection will be a part of the update and reflected on maps. Next slide. So here we have our bicycle plan map, and as you see on your screen, there currently aren't any specific bike recommendations within the land unit K site at this time. Staff will be exploring the type of bicycle facilities to consider for the future plan in this area. We did, however, do a assessment or a high-level review of the existing facilities currently there today. And from this, we found that the bicycle network in the area currently only has one dedicated bike lane route, which would be alongside the west side of Waples Mill Road, as is deemed as a secondary bicycle route where cyclists can use this facility as a shared use path. Next slide. And then here we have our trails plan map. Currently, within our trails plan map, it recommends for a major paved trail alongside Waples Mill Road, which mostly is in place today on the west side of the roadway. There also is the plan for a major paved trail alongside Route 50. And then lastly, the planned I-66 major regional trail, which is already constructed and open for use today. And then finally, the next slide, we have our PLOC assessment for existing conditions. So what is PLOC? PLOC is pedestrian level of comfort. This assessment allows our staff to measure how comfortable walking facilities are for users, meaning how does the facility feel for a user. So these facilities can include sidewalks, shared use paths, as well as crosswalks. Our the assessment scores are based on factors such as pathway width, buffer space, traffic speed, and crossing conditions. So here you see on your screen at the bottom hand of the left-hand side of your screen is, I guess like a legend that goes ahead and tells you the scores of this assessment. So the scores range from 1 to 5, the first being very comfortable. The second will be a PLOC score of a 2, which means comfortable. PLOC 3 means somewhat comfortable. A PLOC 4 means uncomfortable. And then 5 means no pathway. So you see here an assessment that our team conducted at the early stages of this process for both proposals and for the entirety of Land Unit K. We see that Waples Mill Road on the west side was deemed comfortable, so it received a PLOC score of a 2. That is due to the shared use path that's mostly in place today, as well as sidewalk facilities that are currently in place today alongside that roadway. However, adjacent to the west side is the east side of Waples Mill Road, where you see it varies from uncomfortable to no pathway. So it means that the existing facilities there today are uncomfortable for users to use. And then you also have a missing link within the pedestrian network on this roadway where there's no pathway. So that's a gap that will cause an issue for pedestrians and cyclists to feel comfortable along this side of the road. And then lastly, you see Fairfax Ridge Road and Pender Drive were both deemed as somewhat comfortable. So they're in the middle of the pact. It's not uncomfortable for users, but it also isn't comfortable. So our goal from our staff would be to provide recommendations and have an assessment that allows for pedestrian and bicyclists to be comfortable, or at the very most, very comfortable within the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. With that, to give you some context regarding the street grid with the City of Fairfax, this is the Com Washington Small Area Plan for the City of Fairfax that shows a secondary street or alley on the boundary with the Fairfax County. The second street or alley is situated to the east side of the Fairfax Business Park Plan Amendment, as shown on the map circled in black. This is the City of Fairfax plan outside of Fairfax County jurisdiction. The effort is to integrate well with the surrounding development for future planning. The policy plan describes the need to mitigate adverse impacts to park and recreation facilities caused by growth and development. It also offers a variety of ways to offset those impacts, including contributions, land dedications, development of facilities, and others. Land development in the area should address the generated need for urban park space on site in accordance with the urban park framework. Proposed development generates a need for 2.9 acres of publicly accessible on-site urban parks and associated programming per the urban park framework. Both proposals proposing approximately 3.47 of publicly accessible urban parks. The recommendation is to provide integrated open space and on-site active recreation facilities to serve the residents of this complex and provide pedestrian walkways connecting all portions of the development and linkages to adjacent properties. Staff prioritized for both plan amendments. Given what we heard from community meeting and the consideration of the impact analysis, tonight we will provide a summary of what staff is prioritizing for the plan text for both plan amendments, and we are still working on it. The draft plan text will be presented with a staff report. As we have mentioned, the existing sanitary sewer and the pump station serving the area currently lack adequate capacity to accommodate increased demand from additional capacity, density, or intensity within Land Unit K. So an evaluation of the existing sewer infrastructure capacity should be conducted. Any new development should commit to providing any necessary improvements to offset the increased sewer flow demand for the full build-out of Land Unit K. The both sites and proposal introduce residential mixed-use option, and it may be appropriate to be redeveloped. It is recommended to be conform with the Fairfax Center area-wide guidance and use performance criteria, along with integration of urban park, pedestrian facilities, and the natural open spaces. Also, residential mixed use should create a vibrant and sustainable living environment with high quality architectures and site design, access to multimodal transportation facilities, and other amenities for residents of all ages, incomes, and ability levels. This is the staff priorities for the draft specific conditions for Fairfax Business Park Plan Amendment. The residential mixed use at intensity up to 1.03 FAR may be redeveloped with consideration of the following criteria, such as diversity of housing types, high quality of site design, provision of urban parks in appropriate location that serve the community, orientation of the townhouse that could create an attractive frontage and establish a welcoming neighborhood, compatible transition in height with any adjacent residential uses, and consideration of internal network of streets and active transportation facilities, which include street escape facilities, shared use path, pedestrian crossing with signals at key intersections, interparcel connection to east from Bacchus Mill Road or Pender Drive to Germantown Road through the City of Fairfax, and bicycle and pedestrian facilities throughout the development. This is the staff prioritization, the draft specific condition for Fairfax Ridge Road plan amendment. The residential mixed use at intensity up to 1.52 may be redeveloped with consideration of the following criteria, such as high quality of site design, provision of urban parks in an appropriate location that serve the community, compatible transition in height with residential uses especially to the west and south, in consideration of active transportation facilities, which include street escape facilities, shared use path, safe pedestrian crossing with signals at key intersections, and bicycle and pedestrian facilities through the development. So what is the next? Our next steps include incorporating your valuable community feedback, finalizing the draft plan text, and publishing the staff report on September 25th. We will have an in-person meeting with the Springfield Land Use Committee on October 7th, and the PC is scheduled for both plan amendments on October 16th at 7:30 p.m. and the board is scheduled for November 18th at 4 p.m. So thank you so much again for joining today's meeting. This is the conclusion of this presentation. You can stay informed and involved by visiting the comprehensive plan webpage, and you can access through the link to each plan amendments. Also, you can reach me to share your thoughts and any further questions via email or phone number. Now we are happy to take comments or questions. Please raise your hands if you have any questions or comments, or you can also post your questions in the chat box. Thank you.
Hey, Sahar, there was one question in the chat. How will the PowerPoint be available to participants of the meeting?
So we will upload it in our webpage, and you can download it through our webpage. I think Sarah, you raised your hand. If you have a question, please unmute yourself.
Yes, everything looks beautiful and it looks like you guys have put a ton of thought into everything. My only concern is that I know you guys have done the traffic reports, but the volume of individuals coming in this small area is about double the size of Inova Fairfax Hospital. We currently at that hospital have 4 massive parking garages, and we are unable to handle the parking just around the hospital. So I'm really concerned that this small area is not going to be able to handle the parking of the incoming persons that are here. We as a community that are already here already have a very difficult time parking, as our community inside the community is everything reserved. So family, friends, visitors. We already have street parking, and with the construction vehicles that are already taking up a lot of our street parking, we do not have parking available. So family and friends are already currently frustrated. So I'm just really concerned when all this comes up, do we have extra parking? I did hear that there is parking available, but is it going to be free 24-hour parking for anybody that's in this community?
And Sarah, I work with Sahar in the planning department. I can start with just a question for you. Are you in the Fairfax Reserve community right now, or are you in a different spot? I just want to make sure we're talking about the right
We're
site.
in Fairfax Ridge.
Fairfax Ridge, thank you. Sorry about that. So yeah, I mean, we have the condition that's out there today, and my understanding is that with the plan amendment, and we can check this with the planning study that we're doing, that the on-street parking would remain. So I think we have an opportunity with this site in terms of the site layout, where there's actually going to be a reduction in total number of drive aisles that are in the site, so that with the new development, we'll open up a little bit more of that road for on-street parking. Maybe Lynn Strobel or Robert, if they're on the call, could also probably talk about the plan that they have for the on-site parking as well with the development.
And I'll be happy to start it off, and feel free to ask additional questions. But we are meeting, and in fact, I think slightly exceeding the parking requirement on site. So we will be providing all of our parking in accordance with zoning ordinance requirements in our parking garage. So that would be number one. However, we also have 275 parking spaces that are available to this property that's in the adjacent garage for the Radiant. And so we certainly envision that to be available for, guests, or if people have additional cars. So that is something that we have access to as well. And as was mentioned, we are maintaining the on-street parking spaces that are on Fairfax Ridge Road.
Right. So another way to say it is that code requires about 1.3 or 1.35 parking spaces per unit, and effectively we have about 1.75 or 1.8. So we consider ourselves very well parked and don't expect any of our, public street parking, I can't
We don't control
comment on, but what we do know is that we have more than enough parking under our control to satisfy our tenants and their guests.
And also, Rob, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I think that when we had the opportunity to speak with the board of the Fairfax Ridge condominiums, there was a question about parking per bedroom. And I think based on your anticipated bedroom count, I think that you're providing parking like at least one space per bedroom, which I think gave
Actually,
board.
What was the condo board's president or the gentleman we were talking to? But
Chris Giusafi?
Yeah, one of the questions was not how many units not how many parking spaces per residential unit, but how many parking spaces per bedroom in the project.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, because he was hoping that we would have about at least one space per bedroom, and it turns out that we have like 1.25 spaces per bedroom.
Yeah.
Because our project has studios, one bedrooms, and a smattering of two bedrooms. So so even from his point of view, under that different sort of way of looking at it, we are well parked, and we know our tenants prefer to park in a parking garage. They're not, we don't anticipate that they're interested in parking on the street, because that's not really convenient to get to their units and a million other things. So we've heard the parking concerns loud and clear. We are really well parked. As well parked as any project probably can be. And
so we're very comfortable where we are.
So my question is,
if I can jump in real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that thank you, Rob and Lynn, because I knew from meeting, although Fairfax Ridge is new to my district, I knew from meeting very early parking was going to be an issue. And I think you've done a good job of addressing that issue, and I appreciate it. So I just want to share that they are overparked for what the requirement is, but that was the request that we clearly made, that they be overparked. So I appreciate the responsiveness to Fairfax Ridge on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I get that you're saying the 1.7 per bedroom, but if you have
about 1.2
two people, but if you have two people in a bedroom because it's a family unit, because they're married couple, then you already don't have enough for the second person to park. So it begins to have an issue that spirals down. And I get that we're still going to have the little strip that's out here, but more and more people are going to need places to park, and it's going to be tight.
Right. Our only response is code is 1.3. We're about 1.75 or 1.8. We are very confident that what we have is sufficient. It's obviously far in excess of the code. Most of our, we could talk about it, but we have about 33% studios,
right,
which are one person. So that's one space. Then we have about 33% one bedrooms. maybe there's anyway, we could go through it all night and no one knows exactly who's going to be living where, but what we do know is that when it all averages out, we're parking way in excess per the condo's request, per the supervisor's request, and that's kind of what we can do practically, and we're happy to do it, but there's nowhere else to go.
We have another question in the chat, Sahar. It's from Tolkienbeck, and it says that the sewage system is insufficient. Does that mean before construction begins, new pumping stations will be upgraded and built? This refers to Project K or Lane Unit K. Tolkienbeck, I'd be happy to start that as well, and can also refer to the two nominator teams. But I think that one of the things that Sahar presented earlier on is that we did begin an analysis with both of these nominator teams of the sewage system that's in the area. As you know, there are two pump stations that serve Lane Unit K today, High Ridge and Pender. And you're correct. Right now, there is insufficient capacity to be able to accommodate new residential growth kind of in this area. And so I will say that our public works department has been working very well with both of the nominator teams who have performed sewer analyses that look at those pump stations and look at some of the sewage conveyance that's in the area to try to figure out how can we, what would it take in order to not just upgrade the pump stations to accommodate the flows that are from those two areas, but also the future build out of Lane Unit K. Because we recognize that these are probably not the last two projects that will be requesting a change in the comprehensive plan. So we've taken that very seriously, and we've been working really well with both of these nominator teams to see what can be done. The cool thing is that our county does have what's called a reimbursement policy. So some of those larger kind of capital type project upgrades to some of our sewer stations can be developed with development. And then the nominators and the applicants get reimbursed for any difference between what the sewage that they generate compared to what the total capacity upgrade for the sewage station will ultimately be. So we do have a comprehensive plan language that we're working on as a part of this as a part of this study to reflect that. But we also are going to in the future, if the plan amendment gets adopted and the rezonings continue to move forward, we would have a discussion with both of these nominator teams about final proffers, which would be their commitments to providing upgrades to both of these sewer pumps to serve kind of the broader needs of the area. So it's a great point, and we've very much been on it and have been having a lot of discussions with both nominator teams about that very issue.
And I would just echo that we have spent a lot of time on this issue. This nomination was submitted, it's actually been several years ago at this point, and has been working through the process. And this was a very important issue. And our civil engineer has been working closely with Fairfax County and their experts. And we believe, we prepared a study that everyone agrees is the correct analysis. And we have prepared a draft proffer that, requires us to ensure that there's adequate sewer capacity. So again, I think we feel very comfortable in the way that we've gone through that process. There will be adequate capacity. I noticed there was another kind of question associated with this about adequate water and electricity regarding the residents of Fairfax Ridge. And, the Water Authority did review this, and I sent a copy of the Fairfax County Water Authority report to your board. And it did conclude that there is sufficient capacity and there will also be appropriate electricity. Those utilities will be adequate for this development. So I'll just add that, Graham, I saw that at the end of his question.
I think there is one more question about the construction.
Oh, we heard that concern. Again, we met with the board of Fairfax Ridge. And in addition to the report actually from Fairfax County Public Schools and the Water Authority, we provided a copy of our draft proffers to your board, and we actually included a proffer regarding construction management. We actually narrowed down the construction hours that are permitted by the Fairfax County ordinance, and we'll be providing a point of contact if there are concerns during construction, and be putting together a construction management plan. So we heard you and put some commitments in the proffers.
Thank you, Lynn. I think regarding the parking space, there is one more questions from Isabel. That can you clarify or confirm the number of parking space that will be available from Radiant?
From Radiant, we have the use of 275, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, but I believe it's 275 spaces. In addition, in that garage, there are 150 spaces that can be used during certain hours by the Fairfax Ridge community. But we do have use of those parking spaces in the Radiant garage.
Thank you. Sarah, I saw you raise your hand. Please go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yeah, you guys addressed widening the roads and Wapples Mill. When you make a left out of our complex and head towards Oakton Road, that is a residential area, and it's already 2 lanes, and it backs up to people's yards. Is that one going to be widened too, or is that not going to be? It's the one that heads out to like Oakmar and stuff. I don't know that it can handle being widened, so I was just kind of wondering how traffic's going to be able to handle that going out that direction.
We're providing improvements along our frontage, but we're not extending it further than that. But I believe that in our traffic analysis, and I believe as reviewed by FCDOT and VDOT, that they deemed that at least the improvements that we were proposing was adequate from a capacity standpoint for the roadways that are in the network.
And I can answer your question about the 4-lane widening on Waples. So that does not extend any further north in our comprehensive plans, transportation plan map. That doesn't go any further north than I-66. So there's no plan for widening kind of in that Oakton Road kind of area. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sahar.
I just want to clarify that the code requirement, there's something in the chat about it's 1.3 per bedroom. That's not correct. The Fairfax County zoning ordinance establishes a parking requirement based on the number of units. So it really is, and I am maybe a little bit off on this, but I think Rob is right. It's about 1.3 spaces per unit. We were asked at the meeting that we had with the board what our parking equated to if analyzed as per bedroom. So that's what we were alluding to. That's not the code requirement. That was just something we were asked to analyze.
Thank you, Lynn. Well, I'm still looking if someone have any questions, comments. Please raise your hand or post it on the chat. We can. Yeah, we have one more comments regarding the noise that I enjoy living in from Easter. Sorry if I couldn't pronounce your name appropriately. So I enjoy living in Fairfax Ridge because it's quiet and peaceful. However, I'm concerned about the construction noise level and the change in air quality caused by construction. I think, Lynn, as you mentioned before, it will be considered during the construction.
Correct. We've got a construction plan. I would say that, Fairfax County has, certain ordinances and requirements for construction and making sure that, impacts are minimized. And again, we included in our proffers commitments to construction management plan and providing a contact if there are concerns about construction. So.
There's one more comments regarding the parking. The issue of parking needs to be reviewed again, although it complies with the code. In reality, there is already a shortage of parking in Fairfax Ridge.
I will say, and we have spent a lot of time looking at parking, and parking at the existing condominium community was provided at code. So there is, it is a code requirement. It was provided at that time at 1.6 space per unit because that was required by the zoning ordinance at the time. Because of the concerns about parking, that was addressed when the Radiant was developed. And I think that we are continuing to address the parking requirement. We're going beyond the parking requirement, with this proposal. So I think we have thoroughly investigated the parking.
Thank you, Lynn. There's one more question from John Shu that the majority parking slots are reserved. The county's 1.3 per unit includes both reserved and free. Is this a reserved or free? The 1.3 per units.
Well, the spaces in our garage will be for our residents. Is that the question? That the spaces in our parking garage are for our residents, and the spaces in the Radiant garage, the ones that are available to our community, will be for our residents and their guests. There are other parking spaces in that garage that are available to Fairfax Ridge condominium.
Sorry, my question is, Fairfax Ridge, the majority of the parking slots, including the garage and on the ground, they are reserved. It's not open for public. So I'm just wondering, the county's code 1.3 or 1.6 per unit, does that include both reserved and the free parking in the community, or it's just for free parking?
Well, it doesn't, you can't use street parking, for example, to meet your on-site parking requirement.
Okay,
But
so it's a community parking, and it's only for free parking, or it's a count as both reserved and the free parking in the community? So
maybe I don't understand.
all right, so
but,
I don't know how many parking slots in total in Fairfax Ridge now. I only know like 90% of them are reserved, so it's not open for visitor parking.
Where are you speaking? Where is this?
Fairfax Ridge.
He's saying
in the garage?
in their condominium, Lynn.
Oh, in their condominium.
In their condominium, even though they have 1.3, he's not happy.
1.6
or 1.6. He's saying that that's like problematic for them.
Well, that's controlled by your condominium association.
But it's controlled by by your own board, what's reserved and what's not.
We have no control over your parking. We can't do anything about the parking that serves your community.
I understand that you have no control for this existing community, but you're building new community.
Yes.
So your new community will add parking requirements on the existing. If you come here, take a look at this crowded every day on the street. That's why it's crowded parking on the street, because there's not enough parking in the community. So if you're adding more units,
but
if the majority of your parking is also reserved, then it's still not enough space for public parking. I mean, for visitors or for whatever. So I don't know how you. I'm just wondering how the county code what that exactly mean, 1.6 or 1.3 per unit. If it's count for free parking per unit, or it's including both free or reserved in combined.
I think that is up to the building owner, I
Well,
guess.
I can just say in real we have
What?
712 units for 712 parking spaces
Parking
for
spaces
400
for
units.
right.
So that if you divide that's 1.8 parking spaces per unit, and the code it is 1.3. So we are pushing 50% more than what the code requires. And that also is more than what practically will be even used by our residents. So again, the street public parking isn't necessarily for Fairfax Ridge condo. It's not for us. It's public. But what we can tell you is that you have your parking, and it was sized for your community. We have our parking that was sized at substantially higher than what is required, and that's pursuant to your request and also the supervisors. So I mean, we're kind of going around in circles, I think, a little bit. We're parking our residents. They want to park in our garage. That's what's connected to the building. That's what they're paying for. And we have overflow for their guests. So we feel like really, really super comfortable that we're not going to be creating a parking issue within the community. On the other hand, what we are creating for the community is, on the positive side, is a beautiful park environment, neighborhood retail, total, activation, and so we think it's wonderful for the community. So that's kind of the give and take there.
And I would like to clarify, I was looking for the parking agreement that was provided. I just want to clarify something. We do have Time Equities, who's the owner of the property, has the right to use 275 parking spaces on Land Bay B. However, 100 of those are available to the Fairfax Ridge condominium residents during the weekday, between 6 p.m. and 7 a.m. and at all times on weekends and holidays. Because this was originally an office building, there was an intent to kind of share the spaces, but they are available to residents of Fairfax Ridge during those hours. So we have the unencumbered access to 175 parking spaces on Land Bay B, but the residents of the Fairfax Ridge community has 100 parking spaces that they can use during certain hours. So there are 275 parking spaces in that garage that are available for what I'm going to call greater community use, if that is helpful.
Now, and to be super, super clear, our garage has 537 parking spaces plus the 175, not the 275, but the 175 that are only for our use 24/7.
Right. And
if
that
you
would
add
be
up 537 and 175, you get to 712 parking spaces for our 400 units, which is well in excess of the code.
Yeah, it's 1.78, so it's almost 1.8. So it's more parking spaces than the Fairfax Ridge condominium community has.
I I see what you guys are saying, and I don't think any of us are challenging you or try to take your residents' parking. I think we're just saying be mindful because I don't think when they built this place, they realized how many adults with vehicles would be living in each dwelling, and it's become a burden on the community. And I think before you guys break ground and do this, I think it really needs to be numerically documented instead of just a code. Use us as a warning. It's a huge challenge in our area. We don't have friends and family over often because it's a huge upset in our community. And we just want you guys to be forewarned that it is a massive challenge in our small community. And you're adding 750 and then another 400. And it's going to grow so much faster, especially with the multi-dwellings and the people that are married and roommates and et cetera. And this is not an area that has great public commute opportunities. You have to drive to Vienna. The bus is not always available. It's not that great time. So people are going to have more cars here. So it's just a forewarning to say, hey, we're experiencing this already. Your residents are going to have the same problem.
And I hear you and I understand the concern, and I guess we feel that we've done our best job to address it, but we do hear your comments. Appreciate it. Is there anything else in the chat that needs to be addressed? I was just trying to.
I am sorry, I'm not turning on my video camera because I catch a cold, but I want to ask the question. My name is Tolkumbe. I think we'll discuss the issue with the parking one more time with the board and with our neighbors, because this is really big concern. But I also have a question to the Pat and to the Sarah. Could you a little bit elaborate the following process? How it will go further, so public hearings and all these things, how it works. So do you need our neighbors to be presented on the public hearing and express our opinion, and what just explain us the process? Thank you.
I can't understand. I couldn't hear.
I think Graham might have an answer to that. I think there was a question about process.
Sure, and yeah, I'd be happy to handle that, and then I'll hand it over to Sahar. Sahar, could you pull up the timeline slide from the presentation? Yeah, because I did want to just kind of explain what the next steps are. What we're doing right now with this evening's kind of discussion is focusing solely on what we call the comprehensive plan stage, and so what we're doing right now, and the reason that staff are kind of presenting this in tandem with the nominators and the applicants, is that the first step in our process is changing or amending the comprehensive plan. It's kind of the first step in the development process for certain types of proposals. So what we're going to publish following this meeting. We'll take the comments that we've heard. We will publish what's called a staff report. So that'll contain our analysis, much of which will be similar to what you heard tonight, but just in written form in a document. We'll also go and speak with the Springfield Land Use Committee. That's a group of citizens that provide advisory opinions to the Springfield supervisor and the planning commissioner. So that'll be an in-person meeting on October the 7th. This is all in advance of what we call the PC, or the Planning Commission. So that's an entity that is an appointed body of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors that is used to review comprehensive plan changes. And so there will be a public hearing where anybody can come out. It's at the Government Center in Fairfax Center. And so if you'd like to attend that, it's at 7:30 on October the 16th. The Planning Commission provides a recommendation. They're not the decision makers. That's the Board of Supervisors, or the bosses. The acronym is on this slide. So the Board of Supervisors is the ultimate kind of authority in Fairfax County, and they will be the ones that make a decision about whether to adopt or not adopt the comprehensive plan that's going through the process right now. I will say that this is the first step in the process. So even after that board hearing, there's a subsequent phase where there's a lot more detail. in terms of the actual development applications. And so that's called the rezoning process. That started for both of these applications, but it's not on the same timeline. So if this plan amendment does get adopted, we anticipate that those rezoning applications would follow with plan commission hearings and board of supervisors hearings as well, most likely in later part of this year or into early next year. So there's kind of two, we do this frequently for larger proposals where you have to have kind of both a comprehensive plan amendment as well as a rezoning application. So this is not kind of the end of the process. This is still just the comprehensive plan stage, but there's a more detailed analysis and public hearing process as well with the rezoning.
I don't see any more.
I have one more question.
Yes, please.
I heard that it's going to be affordable dwelling units. How affordable it's going to be? Because it's too low, then maybe that it may affect on security to live around live in Fairfax Ridge. Maybe it will be affected by it because it's too affordable, and so I'm just wondering how affordable it's gonna be.
So,
Sure.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Esther. So all multifamily buildings that are within what we call our activity centers in Fairfax County are required to provide, as a part of their developments, what are called workforce dwelling units. In some instances, there's also certain types of units that are called affordable dwelling units. I think that the applicable type here is most likely going to be workforce dwelling units. So that's a county policy that 8% of all of the units that are provided within a building, a market rate building, need to be set aside specifically for people that earn a certain income. So what we use to determine the rents for those is what's called the area median income. So that's just a metric that looks across the entire Washington, D.C. region and determines what's the average, or what's not average, what's the median household income. And then the affordability levels are set based on that. And so the WDUs, as we call them, or workforce dwelling units, range from anywhere from 80% of the area median income to all the way down to 60%. So these are still people that work. There's still people that earn incomes. They're families that have, in some cases, two incomes that have kids. So what you'll find is that in most of the multifamily buildings that are coming online these days, you actually can't tell the difference between the market rate units and the affordable or the workforce units because they look the same. They have the same requirements in terms of furnishings in similar sizes. So this is not this is a program that's intended for working families. So hopefully that answers your question.
Again, if someone has any comments, questions, please raise your hand or post it on chat.
I noticed that someone asked for a timeline for construction. And I'm happy to provide a brief comment on that, and David may wish to provide that for his client, but at least for Fairfax Ridge, we have to, the next step, as was mentioned, is to go through a zoning process. Hopefully that will be early next year. We still have to process what's called a site plan, which is an very detailed engineered drawing that goes through the Fairfax County approval process. And that will take time. That will take about 9 months, maybe longer. And then you have to post bonds, and then you will be able to get a building permit. So, we are still quite some time away from commencing construction. So I would just offer that.
Hi, if I could just ask a question on that, since you mentioned the next steps beyond the comprehensive plan leading to I would say the site survey and all of the engineering that goes into the next steps. Is there any intention to have a discussion around the overall building footprint and the design? I think we can tell just from the initial booklet that there's obviously a setback, a 50-foot setback for that green trail, but obviously would like to understand a little bit more of how that building and that massing and that volume will impact our community, given that a lot of the families and residents really appreciate the open space that we currently have. So just wanted to ask that question now, and if there's opportunity for that to get, input as we get further down the line.
Yeah, it's a great question. So right now, what we're looking at, and that's a good comment, by the way, with the comprehensive plan, in some instances, we write what are called plan conditions or recommendations that go into the comprehensive plan. If we feel that there's a need to speak to something regarding compatibility, setbacks, trails, urban parks, compatible building heights. And so in this instance, we are contemplating some specific conditions that seek for both of the sites, by the way, to describe with fairly general guidance what we think would be appropriate for both of these sites in terms of achieving some level of compatibility between the existing residential that's nearby and the sites. So that's fairly general for the comprehensive plan, and that's on purpose, and that's intended to speak to the issue, but then also allow more of the details that you're probably more interested in at that later rezoning stage when the applicants are able to do the kinds of studies and more detailed drawings that people want to see. So there's kind of two parts of it. We are planning, we appreciate the comment, and we are planning to include some recommendations from the staff end about compatibility and heights and green spaces for both of these sites, for example. So that's a good comment. But I think a lot of the details that you'll probably be interested in about the specific setbacks, urban parks, the linear park, for example, that's been proposed along Fairfax Ridge Road, you'll get a lot more details with the rezoning application.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
Sorry, this is Joe again. Just following up with the type of units to be built here. I understand the county basically has some requirements on the type of units, but I just want to get more details. So do we have like an average square foot per like a 1-bedroom unit, 2-bedroom unit, 3-bedroom unit? Do we have that data in planning, or is still undergoing, undecided?
For these buildings, yeah, I think that's more of a rezoning level detail. For comp plan, we don't have specific like minimum building size or unit sizes, but that is a detail that would be included in the zoning applications.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any more question or comments regarding both plan amendments, Fairfax Business Park and Fairfax Ridge Road plan amendments? I don't see any more question.
Yes, Sarah, I'm sorry, just very quick, one more question. So we checked with the school district, so we are still, our community still be with the same schools. But if 400 something plus apartments will appear, Right now, the buses for the elementary school leaving our community is full. So if the new apartment complex will appear, will the Fairfax County adopt buses or how it will work?
Yeah, we thank you for the question, Tolkienbeck. We have spoken with FCPS, the county school system, about capacity at the high school and the middle school and the elementary school that serve the site. Oakton High School, Franklin Middle School, Waples Mill Elementary School. Right now, they look at the 5-year, what they call the CIP or the Capital Improvement Program, to try to determine what kind of capacity they will have in the next 5 years. Right now, there is capacity at both of those schools, and they project that in 5 years from now, there will still be capacity at those schools. So we have taken a look at that. We've also looked at the potential student yields from both of these sites. And so FCPS does not have any concerns with regards to the potential student impact of these that's generated by these proposals. So the specific question about buses, FCPS will provide a seat for every student. So we don't have any concerns at this point, but they do monitor this on a 5-year basis because in some instances, our comprehensive plan has a longer term horizon than 5 years out. But they do monitor this on an ongoing basis, especially once construction begins. So it's something that we'll continue to monitor, but right now, FCPS does not have any concerns.
So if still you have any comments and questions, please raise your hand or post it on chat box. If there is no question, we can wrap up the meeting. So once again, I would like to let you know that we are going to publish our staff report for both plan amendments that will include the draft plan text on September 25th, 2025. And we'll have meetings with Springfield Land Use Committee on October 7th. And the Planning Commission hearing will be on October 16th at 7:30 p.m. And the board meeting will be on November 18th at 4 p.m. Thanks again, everyone, for joining tonight's community meeting. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to me through my email address and also on my phone number. And we are going to upload the presentation on the website, and you can have access to latest update of the information for each individual plan amendments through these links. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.